Another day, another Acolyte story. This is another one to do with the viewership. This gives us a very different perspective. So while we covered the first 2 episodes of the show, Variety.com have now published The Acolyte reaches 11.1 million views in 5 days. By comparison, that is 3 million short of the Ahsoka show, Ahsoka's debut. Now there are a lot of things to keep in mind, and for this, I'm turning into the Bendu, the one in the middle, giving you a balanced perspective. The Acolyte viewership is not bad, when you consider the fact this is a brand new Star Wars series with no Skywalkers. When it comes to Ahsoka and Boba Fett and the Kenobi show, those all had fan favourite characters, and unless Yoda is going to make an appearance, this series is providing fans with something brand new, and was marketed as such. The marketing push for The Acolyte was enormous. I saw it here in London on every single bus. 1 in every 5 ads I saw on the internet was for The Acolyte, so they were really pushing it. But for what is meant to be the next flagship Star Wars series on Disney+, I don't think these are the numbers Star Wars and Disney expected. Variety say this: though it initially appeared The Acolyte may have had a stronger debut than 2023's Ahsoka, Disney shared the first episode of its latest Star Wars outing reached 11.1 million views in its first 5 days. Almost 3 million short of what Ahsoka achieved in the same amount of time, but The Acolyte still represents Disney's biggest series premiere of 2024. There has been a lot of publicity concerning what we can expect in the next 2 episodes, so I do expect some level of maintained viewership. Or if we're being more optimistic than that, Disney and Lucasfilm are hoping for a Book of Boba Fett situation, where, believe it or not, the second week picked up significantly over the first, over the premiere. In the case of The Acolyte's 3rd episode, even if it's hate watching or just curiosity, any and all attention towards that episode is welcomed by the House of Mouse. If we're talking about raw viewership, going to that episode on Disney Plus, and the engagement that comes with it, which leads more people to go see it, that could translate to higher numbers than they expect. And I have a feeling we'll all be talking a lot about this next episode. I can't wait to break it down and give you my review. But if history is anything to go by, finales generally seem to do well, but if we're talking about the middle episodes of a typical Star Wars season, those have a typical dip. So it is going to be kind of fascinating to see what happens with this show. Now, something which was noted by several commenters is that despite the diehard portion of the Star Wars fandom aching to get something new, to move away from familiar territory from the Skywalkers and the main saga, data seems to suggest casual Disney Plus and Star Wars fans want more of the familiar. Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2 is the perfect example of this, and I really don't understand why we still haven't had a post-Episode 6 animated show, The Adventures of Luke, Han and Leia post-Endor. And you know, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are exploring the live-action side of this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Luke, Han and Leia in Dave Filoni's movie, but it's being done in the context of the stories of Ahsoka, Mando and Grogu. But if budget is the biggest hurdle in terms of CG and deepfake, then why not give us a post-Episode 6 animated show? But as I say, my dear friends, keep in mind, this is a brand new type of Star Wars show. These numbers seem to be fine for Disney, not reaching the heights of Ahsoka or the Kenobi show, but somewhere along the lines of Andor Season 1, and they were promoting and celebrating the fact the show reached these numbers on the Walt Disney Company website. I think someone worked out it's about 13% of all Disney Plus subscribers who tuned into the first 2 episodes. I do think Disney expected a bit better. And I guess another big question, is there going to be more of a consistency going into the second half of the season? Once we get past episodes 3 and 4, is that where it's going to kind of keep on board some of the viewers who are now invested, or is it going to drop off? In other Acolyte news, Amandla Stenberg sat down with StarWars.com to break down how she got into the mindset to play each twin, Osha and May, distinguishing the two on set and giving them their own distinctive attributes. You know, how is it all crafted? And they say Stenberg worked to craft the twinned personas, writing up their own headcanon and giving them a yin and yang duopoly. Yang is the masculine, she says, and that's Osha in my mind. She says yin is feminine and mysterious, and that is May. Now, setting aside the wild theory I put forward the other day, I do have to wonder, is there another twist coming? And one theory I've seen take off is that by the end of the season, the twins are going to switch places. Osha is going to turn to the dark side and become the Acolyte. We don't know why she left the Jedi Order, but more than that, Sol has been teasing that she is after revenge, not justice, as she thinks. And when it comes to May, she spared the bartender and his child out of sympathy. And now that she knows Osha is alive, that could be a real turning point. Just an interesting thought. And so finally, just to finish off, I want to break down one of the most important scenes of the first 2 episodes. The Acolyte's first 2 episodes come with a ton of questions and a lot of mysteries. And it's important to note, there are many details about the individual twins Osha and May that are still very unclear. Something left unresolved is the reason Osha left the Jedi Order. The past is undoubtedly one of the biggest question marks left going into the 3rd and 4th episodes. We don't know the reason Indara before her death wanted Osha to stop her training. This is something alluded to by Yord. We don't have the full version of events, nor what took place on Brendok 16 years ago. And one of the scenes I really want to investigate is the death of Torbin. At face value, the version of events is pretty simple. He took a Barash Vow. He hasn't spoken in over 10 years. The events of Brendok made him feel guilty, and he was scarred. He was possessed by the Witch Coven, as we see in the trailers. He fought Kelnaka. He was part of the reason the Jedi feel ashamed of whatever took place, and so he isolated himself, trying to find inner peace, but failed. So here comes May, looking for revenge, the twin who turned to the dark side, and she wants revenge because Torbin was one of the 4 Jedi responsible for the death of her mothers. And at that stage of the story, she thinks Osha is dead too. Torbin opens his eyes, comes down from meditation, apologizes, understands what's going on, drinks the poison, and then he's dead. He dies asking for forgiveness, but he takes it so willingly. So hear me out on this. I felt something was very strange about the dialogue in that scene. Are we seeing a skewed perspective? Why did Torbin say, "I've been waiting for you, May," almost like he was speaking to an angel of death? How could he distinguish May from Osha when Master Indara, when she fought May, assumed she was Osha and couldn't really tell the difference? What makes Torbin so special? Did being possessed by the witches give him some insight into this dyad? Whatever took place on Brendok must have been so heinous that Torbin did not find the peace he sought by taking the Barash Vow. It's actually quite disturbing, and I've got a feeling that as the season progresses, we're going to learn more and more about what took place that very day. What it was that he and the other Jedi hid from the Jedi Council. Something so bad, he would rather die than reveal the truth. Something the Jedi swept under the rug. Something the likes of Master Yoda never found out about. Something Torbin took to his death. It's about to get real.